think there will be something drastically changing, to be honest, but we always have to be aware that the market conditions are different, right? The market will slow down and there will be probably some volatility after and during the event. In any case, as always, before we take a look at the charts and the Forex market, the risk disclaimer explaining that the trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. And this webinar is for educational purposes only. So we thank you for your attention on that. And my name is Chris, by the way. Once again, this is hosted by Admiral Markets. And today's focus, we're going to take a look at establishing the trend bias, looking for opportunities and filters, triggers, and entry methodologies. We're taking a look at the dollar-yen as well, what we talked about yesterday, and see how that's developing. And with that said, I'm going to say good morning, in fact, to Michal. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, Chris. Thank you for a lovely introduction. I hope all of you can hear me. I hope all of you can see me. I'll change the presentation settings to my screen right now. As always, my name is Michal Onachov. Here's a lovely model of myself on this picture. And here are all my contact details. If you want to contact me for any questions at all, you can always do so on email, Skype, LinkedIn, and here's also an email for Trading Camp that is going to be launched again on the 4th of November. Trading Camp 2.0. It's going to be a fantastic educational program. And since we have a live trading session today, we are going to have fun with Forex again. Today's story is called Amazing Oil Trader. So, how easy is it to purchase a contract for difference nowadays, or a CFD? It's very easy, in fact. All you have to do is register an Admiral Standard account, and you have an opportunity to bet on the movements of stocks, commodities, indices. You can open an order and close it within minutes, or leave it open for a while longer without a care in the world. Would you think trading CFD was as easy if after opening a long order on gold or silver or crude oil, you would actually have to accept delivery of a few barrels of oil? What do you think? Would you like to have those barrels sitting in your living room until you made some profit on the contract of difference? So you cannot tank a car with it. It just sort of sits there all day until it appreciates in price. So it's not very convenient, now is it? I don't think so. So I want to tell you a story of Andrew Hall. The picture is not very good, but this guy is not very public, so we'll have to deal with the best we have. In 2003, Andrew Hall had the belief that the price of oil would rise dramatically in the next few years. Back then, oil was trading at around $30 a barrel. And coming out of recession, few thought prices would rise anytime soon. So what did Hall do? Hall bought so-called long-dated oil future contracts that would pay off if the price of oil topped $100 at some point in the next 5 years. Because Hall made a bet oil would reach a price that few could imagine was possible, he was able to buy the contracts cheaply. It was a risky move, but if the price of oil never reached 100, the contracts would expire worthless. So it was indeed very, very risky. So instead, when oil topped $100 in 2008, Hall's fiber division made a bundle, a huge amount of money, far more than he would have made had he just bought oil. But I want to tell you about physical delivery of commodities. So Hall's ability to produce outsized profits for Citibank that he was employed by, it comes from the creative ways he had found to make money on the oil market. So doing things that would either be impossible for an average small trader to do, or it was something so unbelievable other traders wouldn't even think about it. So earlier this year, for instance, Hall and his traders rented a tanker and filled it with 1 million barrels of oil. Oil prices were down, but most traders thought they were going up again. So future contracts pegged to distant months deliveries were expensive. The better deal was the real thing. And with the shipping business mired in recession, Hall was able to get a tanker to park it offshore somewhere with all of his oil and he got the whole package, a whole deal for a very modest sum. So instead of buying contracts of difference, he actually bought an actual oil and put it in an actual tanker. So you were able to get a better price if you were willing to take possession of the actual commodity, but it was of course much risky because you have to ensure that security is there and that everything is fine with the tanker. So next time you're sitting behind your MetaTrader and you're trading on gold, silver, or crude oil or sugar, think about it. How different would trading be if you actually had to take a physical delivery of your asset and you'd have to expect responsibility for your actual physical asset? It wouldn't be that comfortable. Hopefully and luckily, we at Admiral Markets don't make you accept barrels of oil when you trade. All you have to do is just log into MetaTrader and you can trade away on CFDs as much as you want. And if you would like to have some advice on how to trade CFDs, indices, stocks, currencies, anything at all, you can join our trading camp right now. We're still accepting people into the program. It's going to start on the 4th of November. Make sure you write me an email today because there's going to be a little bit of organization. It's going to take a little bit of time to organize everything with your documents and accounts. In essence, it's a 3-week online learning course. You will receive everyday assignments. You will not spend more than an hour a day working on your assignments. It's very important. You'll be able to attend the training camp and do whatever it is you do as your normal job. You'll receive performance tracking, personal coaching, and literature is going to be supplied as well. All you have to do is you have to write a short essay on your Forex aims, 100, 200 words, and open a real account with a minimum deposit. In some countries, it can be as low as $10. In some countries, it has to be around $200. All depends on the country. But the promise is a promise. We accept everybody with a minimum deposit. So all you have to do is either write me an email at mo@admiralmarkets.com or you can write an email to Trading Camp at camp@admiralmarkets.com. I'll be looking forward to your emails. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you enjoyed the story. I'll now pass the floor back to Chris. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michal. Always great to hear from Michal. And I'm sure that everyone is excited about the training camp or the trading camp part 2. So looking forward to that. First of all, we're going to take a look at the Forex calendar, and we can see that we have, as usual, some news, of course, on the euro. We have Spanish GDP, which is marked as high impact, by the way, so we can take a look at that in 7 minutes. Other than that, we have some usual medium and light impact news, but more importantly, the ADP, of course, 4 hours from now. That's 4 hours and 20 minutes. That is 1 hour earlier than usual due to the fact that in the US and Canada, they have not gone back or back to winter time, contrary to many European countries and maybe other parts of the world. So it's for those a bit earlier than usual. And then we have the USD FOMC statement and the New Zealand interest rate. So personally, I wouldn't trade the New Zealand with 12 hours to go to that interest rate unless it's really a short-term trade. But any swing trade, I think, doesn't make sense personally. The FOMC, I don't think will be that much of an event this time around because I think it's pretty clear that there will be no tapering this time around, or probably this year for that matter. But despite the fact that maybe the outcome is clear, usually you do see anyhow the currency market slow down prior to that news announcement, and you will see some volatility. But I don't expect that volatility to be major. All right, but this typical pattern you will still probably witness, or we should expect it at least. Anyhow, that's a while from now. And start with for those of you who were here yesterday, was on it. That was the best opportunity of the day. Just structure patterns and everything like that. And I did take on the break of this one effect. Yeah. Wait, I don't have my drawing to open. 1 second. Let me open that quickly. So basically, upon the break of this fractal, I took it. Although I thought it was likely that it was already breaking earlier, right here, and I thought that the chances were pretty high that we would continue higher from there. I still waited for the 1 hour resistance, and that was just a bit of caution for me that I wanted this 4 hour resistance to break, just in case we maybe break the trend line and pop down for a lower correction. So I was a bit cautious there, but in any case, it doesn't matter because even the 1 hour fractal was just a few pips higher, right? And put my stop loss here, and still going our way. Now, how high could this go? I think that for the intermediate future, we should expect continuations to higher ground. We already broke, actually, if you look at the most recent price action, we just went flat in a sideways move. And in fact, what is looking like a break of the top as we speak, which is good, which is signaling continuation. And so far, it's doing what I'm expecting, which is good. I'm happy with that. And if we could keep continuing up to 99, that would be great because that's where I have my target personally, at 98.90 and at 99.54. So those are pretty conservative targets for the moment. My more aggressive target on one of the three positions is aimed at 102.80, right in here. Wait, let me check. 102.82. So the reason for that is basically, if you look at this structure, there could be two explanations, as always, for this current move. Either we are going to break this green line for upside and most likely eventually break this top, right? So there's some space in here where I have the green circle, and then above the top, obviously, up to 110, etc. But we also have space up to that trend line. So it's like snowman, right? It's let me draw it a bit better. You have a space up to that wedge. Then when we break the wedge, we have space up to the red resistance. And if we break the red resistance, we have space up to the target, right? So something like this, snowman, you can see, right? Something like that. And so basically, the first two trades are aimed at this resistance, the top, and the trend line resistance, 1 and 2. And the third scale out is actually aiming for a bigger target here, but still before this resistance, right? So that's how it's spaced out, so you understand why. And the reason is that I have two of them aiming prior to this trend line, just in case I didn't mention it yesterday, is just in case we don't break above it, of course, logically, I have those two already in the pocket. That's the primary reason, because if we don't break this trend line, we could be doing this instead. And all this upside was, in fact, a correction for more downside. That's definitely, it's possible. We can't exclude that possibility before, unless we break that top of the green line. Then, of course, the likelihood of more upside is very imminent. Well, that's it, basically, in my opinion, from the long-term perspective. So let's move back to the 4-hour chart. So what would I be expecting? Basically, I think that this should continue up very steeply. Then maybe we'll make a shallow bull flag and then one more upside, in fact. Something like that is what I would expect at minimum. Let's see if that pans out. So I would be even interested in taking longs above here. But what I would like to see, though, is a scale-in, as an extra addition to yesterday's trade from here. But what I would like to see is, let's see, probably now a push above this level, maybe with a stop loss here, would already make sense. Now it's 8 o'clock my time. Let's see. One-hour chart. Yeah. Well, what I would like to see is a 15-minute fractal, preferably. So I will check 15 minutes from now at 8:15. But I would, yeah, I would maybe I would get my preference. I'm not sure if we'll get it. That's the thing where I'm hesitating a bit. But I would prefer to have a fractal here, and then take the next break of that fractal with the stop loss below here, for example, and aim for. Let me see what the difference is here. 17 pips. So if we aim for 221, that would be 34. Yeah, that should be doable. Maybe even more. So I'm going to check in 15 minutes from now. If there is a fractal here, I wouldn't mind taking the break of that fractal, because then we're not only breaking basically this top where we paused for a few hours, but we're breaking the immediate resistance for that upside. So that's my plan number one. Other than that, what we were looking at yesterday, oh yeah, the Aussie. The Aussie didn't get the bounce, right? We were looking at it and saying, okay, if it breaks this level, that's when I had an entry order. But if it were to break the bottom, I said I was deleting it, right? So of course I deleted it. The same idea one could have done here. I didn't do it as yet, in fact, but that was possible. Was a break. The same idea was valid, in fact, of course, for this fractal as it was for this fractal. I'm not sure if anyone entered that trade indeed upon the fractal, right? It's just a lower fractal, but basically we're looking for a 1 hour turnaround, right? And the turnaround is one way of getting that confirmation is when you break a 1 hour fractal, because as you can see, what is the 1 hour world doing? It's making lower lows, lower highs, right? Consistently. That's pretty clear. So this is the first time, right, in that downside at least, that we're making a higher high. So that could be the first sign or confirmation that we are moving back up. But if we're not in the trade, I'm not personally. I didn't look at it this morning. I deleted this one. Then we can always let this run go up. Let's see if we got maybe some correction like that. And if there's weakness, any sign of weakness here, that would be another way of tackling the potential turnaround, right? Why expect a turnaround necessarily here, you might wonder? And that has to do with the higher time frame. Looking, or you can see on the 4 hour chart already that there's a pretty strong price action signal here, within maybe engulfing 4 hours, for example. So we are getting some reaction off of that level. And it bounced off the minus 618 target, as you can see. Anyhow, why that level? It has to do with the fact that we are back towards these support levels, right? That's still a potential bouncing area. So we might see that happen on the odd. Now, obviously, we also made a very aggressive downside, so that's always risky if you had something like that and try to catch it here, because we don't know if it will indeed move up like this, or will it move up maybe like this. If it does something like a bear flag, of course, then get out quickly because it could make a next fall. All right, so that's how you want to monitor a pattern like that to judge whether the currency is really doing what we want it to do. So there is a chance to get something like this, hopefully. That was yesterday. Let me take a look. Euro dollar, we were talking about potential sell, but although it was counter trend and it spiked up a bit higher, but it couldn't break the stop as expected. And any move up did find that resistance back to the 618 target. That was the target, right? And that's exactly where it stopped, and the support level. So at the moment, I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe a bit more downside, in fact, but we would need to break below this bottom at least. Otherwise, we're still in no man's land because you can see we're pausing here. So that pause could also be a bouncing spot for more upside. We don't know. This could be a bounce. Or if we do go below this bottom, we could probably continue down, right? In any case, it's not good to go short, for example, right in front of this support level. Would it be good to go long? Well, there's a potential bouncing area, right, because of the support. But personally, I wouldn't like it just because of the fact that we are making some downside here. And I would say the upside is still limited unless we really get into maybe this green zone down in here where I expect a bigger bounce. Then it would make sense. So personally, I don't see much potential for the upside. So I wouldn't say that's that interesting to me. So personally, wouldn't want that to trade at. Yeah, that's about it. Let's see if we can break this bottom. Sorry about that. I'm also chewing some. I hope you don't mind. I'm chewing a vitamin chewing gum. It's almost finished. Let's see. Pound dollar. We're not that interested yesterday in that, but it did move down to the 618 fib, right? We bounced off the 50 and got rejection again and saw a continuation of that to the 618 fib. So you can see how those fibs are a good guidance of support, and they bounce off those levels, but then can't continue and find rejection for more downside. So I don't know, personally, there could be, again, maybe some space to the downside if we break this bottom, just like we did yesterday, for example. Let's take a look at that. Not that much space, was there? It was a small downside compared to the risk. Wasn't that great of a trade. Something like that could be a bit better today because we have space to the 786, or we should have. So that could happen if we break this bottom. We can keep an eye on it. Let's see, Euro pound. Here too we talked about the limited space up to 86, but it didn't even get to 86. It went to 85, 84, which in a way makes sense a bit because that is a minus 272 target of this move up. There are a lot of fibs in here, so wait, let me make it a bit more readable for you. 1 second. So why this fib? Or maybe I can even put it a bit lower, like this. Sorry, like that. Yeah. Why that particular fib? Let me make it maybe magenta so you can see it better. Why did I put a fib on this, in fact? The reason is because it's a potential, you can see, looking at the oscillator, that here it crossed the zero line, and here it crossed the zero line, right? So this move up can be seen as one move up, and this move up can be seen as one move up, right? So that's why I put the fib from there to there. And we got a 382 bounce, and we went right to the minus 272 target. So we can still move up one more time to go to the 86, which is the bigger fib. That's still possible. Maybe. We'll see. At the moment, I'm not too interested because I think the space to the upside is a bit limited. Anyhow, I'm not a big fan of the euro pound, so Kiwi is showing the same as the Aussie, isn't it? That too is at a pretty big level in the sense that we are back to the bottom of this sideways range here. And we just posted also here on the Kiwi engulfing 4-hour twin. So that's the same like the Aussie abyss, right? That could be a similar setup with some downside and upside. So both the Aussie and Kiwi are showing that. Both the Euro and Pound are looking weak. So maybe the Euro odd and Pound odd will be correcting to the downside, for example. We can take a look. Right now. Well, the Euro odd and Pound odd have been moving up nicely, but we are approaching a bigger top right in here. So and we can see a doji on the 4-hour chart. We can see some wicks in here. We can see potential rejection off of that resistance, right? So there could be maybe some downside momentum. Although it's still early. If we put a fib on the first down move here, we can see the hook back. We should expect this correction to stall at the minus 618 for the moment. Let's see, that's at 144.46 here. Get a bit of a bounce, and then probably one more downside at minimum. Yeah, so let's see. Not interested right now because this is, personally I would rather, no, it's still too early in the turnaround. If it maybe bounces, here goes to the target and bounces, and we see some rejection here, that would make sense, but at the moment it's a bit too early because obviously we do have a lot of upside momentum here, even though we're close to that daily resistance. So still wait and see mode here. But I think that the pound odd and all of them are showing similar situations. Look here, the Euro New Zealand and pound odd. This is the pound odd. Are showing a bit of a struggle here, right? You can see that. And in fact, on the pound odd, we're also breaking the 4-hour support. Maybe breaking a rising wedge. We can see the breakdown, but it's still early in its setup. So what else do we have left? Maybe the CAD, dollar CAD. Let's take a look at that. Well, we've made a very strong, aggressive move up. If I look at the 4-hour chart, I would say that upside is likely, but not from here. If you look at of course, we're on an uptrend channel, looking at the purple lines, and most recently we made a very good up move here. So any hook back like that would most likely find support right there. I think that's a high likelihood. Would I like to go long right in here? Not right now, and the reason is that yes, we did break above this top, and that certainly had my attention yesterday, although I didn't trade it because it happened. But it happened after I think I closed down the computer already, or yeah, that was already 5 p.m. my time. So the likelihood of me entering a trade at that time is just small because it always takes some time to monitor your trade and stuff like that. That you know, after 12 hours I have enough already. So, but yeah, I was certainly interested in this break, but the break didn't go that far anyhow, so I didn't miss anything. And in fact, yeah, it didn't get any really muscle, right? It didn't get any follow through to the upside here. And considering the fact that we just haven't broken it. Well, I mean, we have broken it, but as I said, not with enough follow through, and we've stalled for quite a number of hours here. That we do see some divergence between these tops, and then I would say the likelihood of at least some reversal maybe eventually, although it could be very slow, could happen. So the ball game might change if we break above this top. Other than that, I would be more cautious with immediate upside from here, and be a bit more enthusiastic if it either made a deeper retracement or indeed shows sign of strength by breaking the top. So let's take a look at the yen. It's 8:15 my time. Okay, so we didn't get the break of that fractal. That's good. So I'll put an entry order. Above the top. The spread is very tight, as you can see, less than a pip. So that means I can go to 98.32. Now, the entry order directly above the fractal is only one way of doing that, in fact, logically, but not the only one, because one could even wait for a break and maybe a hook back and then continue, right? And try to trade the pullback instead. So I'm going to aim, for the moment, I'm going to aim for 98.90. That's 58 pips versus 17 risk. I believe. Let me check. 58 indeed. 58 divided by 17 is roughly 3.5 to 1. So let's see. Time will tell. Any questions maybe at this point? So that's basically, well, the idea. Yeah, here it is. Basically, it's indicated by these blue lines. It's the entry, and the red line is the stop loss, right? And then the take profit is all the way up at 98.90. I'll make it green or something like that. So that's the configuration here. There, that's better. Basically, it's above the 4-hour high, right? If you look at the 4-hour chart. And the stop loss, yeah, it's actually not underneath the 4-hour low, but it's using a bit tighter stop loss. Maybe you could even use the 4-hour low, I don't know. But could be a bit safer. Yeah, that would probably be better. I'll move that stop loss. Those 8 pips don't matter that much. So 1 second. All right. I think the former one is and should be safe, but this is maybe just a tad safer because then we're using basically this kind of this shelf here, right, as a protective for the trade instead of putting it maybe at the bottom of that shelf, which, yeah, I'm not sure how much that really matters in this case if it does break to the upside, but in any case, the target would allow for, if that would make it a 2.5 to 1, maybe, no, 2.3 to 1, which is decent enough reward to risk in my book, so that's fine as well. So that's the idea. It's just a scale-in or a continuation, really, of of this former trade that is now up 43 pips and trying to get that continuation to the upside. Now that we're not broken, but we're attempting to break this top in any case, right? We've had a push above it, let me say it this way. So I didn't want to take that push necessarily because I wanted to see some muscle first with this next break, in fact. So I'm trading in a way the continuation, if you can look at it this way, as the break pullback continuation maybe, right? For example. So that is the idea. Alrighty, I don't see any questions. That's great. So I guess everything is clear on that. If not, then you can always drop a line or question, no problem at all. I was also looking at the euro yen this morning, and I took a 382 fib actually bounce right here. And I didn't take this breakout. I missed it. And I took this breakout, but I actually stupidly moved my stop loss to break even and got taken out here, although I knew that this was a likely bouncing spot. I should have re-entered here. I just didn't think clearly yesterday morning. But anyhow, that's the past. Still like this bounce right in here because of this, this upside. This uptrend looks like a hook back, break of this trend line, break, pullback, continuation. So that's basically the idea of the trade setup, right? And right now it looks like we are making that continuation. Although at the moment, if we look at the 4-hour chart, personally I wouldn't want to go long right in here because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're not in that trade, probably the best is to wait for a break of this top and then zoom into the 15-minute world and try to catch maybe some trade above here, right? Because right now we're very close to this top. That could still be resistance, and we could still see a retracement to the 618 and then a bounce. So going long right in here doesn't make sense unless we break this top, and try to zoom in the 15-minute world to get a good reward to risk and catch some pips to the upside, right? Maybe something similar as the dollar-yen style, to catch that upside. But right here, I would say waiting mode logically. Either we make a deeper retracement, that would be good, 618.2, or break above the top. One of the two. Very simple. Now, the space here is maybe a bit limited, as you can see, because we do have a top here, yes, we do have a trend line, yes, we do have a target. So that's something we definitely have to be careful of. Because the spaces are tight when you get close to that. I mean, we could break above it eventually, surely. I'm not saying that it can't, or I'm not the one who's going to stop it, let me say it this way, but we do have to be careful in our planning in these levels. And with that, I mean, just in case you're wondering, is that if you zoom to the 50-minute chart and you see a fractal here, you might want to take a tighter stop loss below the 15-minute world or even the 5-minute world to get a smaller risk here. And then if it does break above the next fractal, that you have the reward to risk. Maybe even take less risk percentage than usual on this trade just because it is a bit more riskier. Let's see. There seems to be a bit of a bounce here, so we'll keep an eye on it. The euro is bouncing, yes. As we said, it could right in here because of the support. And therefore the dollar yen isn't getting that follow through as yet. That's fine. That's why sometimes, you know, pending orders above a certain level are nice, because it can do here whatever it wants to do for however long it wants to do, and the trade wouldn't be triggered, right? So that's the good thing about it. Now, obviously, if price were to break below this level, then the entry order is deleted logically, right? By the way. So let's take a look at the others we didn't take a look at yet. The not many remaining, in fact. Swissy. Well, obviously making some upside, but could easily be a correction, couldn't it? Everyone can see that. And it could be something like this. We can keep an eye on both trend lines, in fact. I mean, either this one breaks and it's probably a bear flag for the dollar, which I do expect on the euro dollar eventually, or we might even break above this line and accelerate to the upside, although I don't think that is that likely. Personally, if I look at the euro dollar and look at the 4-hour chart, I would think continuation to the upside from 136.50, 137 would be ideal to go to 139, maybe 140, etc. I think that is the sweetest trade right there. Will we get that deep? Will we exactly bounce off that level? Of course, that remains to be seen, but that's what I would expect at the moment, something like that, as I said. So on the Swissy, that would translate into some upside still, and then downside, right? Yeah. So we can keep an eye on this trend line for that break to the downside. Let me add one red line here. This could definitely be a major resistance. This is, in fact, the supply-demand zone. We'll be talking about it more tomorrow, by the way. But that definitely is one, because you got an impulse, flat, sideways move, impulse. And price went exactly to the bottom here and stalled right now, as you can see. So that could definitely be a resistance level, which it is proving to be at the, it's also the 90 even number, 0.90 plus this bottom, yeah. Not sure if anyone traded that. I didn't, but I didn't have a pending order there, but it did make sense to look for something like that right at that bottom. So a confirmation would be a break below, right? And that's about it. I guess if we break above this top, we could start looking for a different outlook on the Swissy, but until then, I would say it's bearish. What else? Euro yen we looked at. The Aussie yen maybe we can take a look at. We did break above this trend line right in here. Doing pretty well, in fact. I was thinking about taking this breakout, but I didn't do it because I had the dollar yen. I had some doubts whether this could really become impulse somehow, although you can see the entry order levels waiting and ready. Somehow I had a bit of a hesitation here if it couldn't slam into resistance and become a bit of a range. So far that's proven not to be true. The break here is doing pretty well, so what can you do? I was looking for this here, right in here, this break. Oh well. Let me get rid of these lines. Yeah, is there a trade right now? I don't think so. For me, not, because yes, it could move up a few more pips, definitely. Do I have a great R2R right in here? No. So, I rather wait for a bit of a, I don't know, for me, this has already moved up on a 5-minute chart quite a lot. If you look at this move, right? How much, I mean, there could definitely be 20 pips left, but where do we put our stop loss? It has to be all the way here. It's definitely not a great trade, let me say it this way. Yes, it is very impulsive. It is breaking, every candle is breaking its high, etc. But I don't know, probably better to wait for this to go at least back to the zero line at minimum. Go back to the band here, for example, and then try to get a bounce in here. Makes a bit more sense regarding the reward to risk. See if we get a bounce there for one more break of this top. That would make more sense, I think. There's a small, that's also a small trade, but it still makes sense. Right in here, the only thing that could make sense is maybe 1-minute chart, in fact, because otherwise we don't have the reward to risk, and even the 1-minute chart is showing, one second, is showing divergence here, etc. Now, I would rather wait. Also, we're pretty close to this resistance, the long-term moving average. I know that maybe sounds funny for you, but for me, this 144 EMA close is very important. And you can see here how it was used as resistance. And here too, we're pretty close to that, so no. Let's move on. Let's take a look at, Yano is asking for gold. We can take a look at that. And we were talking about it yesterday, right? We said we were breaking this rising wedge indicated by magenta lines. And either we're going to get a hook back for more downside and then maybe bounce off these green lines like that. So either a hook back here, right, for more downside and get bounce and break, or do we get a bounce from lower, right? If we do bounce from lower, we have that inverse head and shoulders potential. But the best trade is above this blue line, or maybe from the head and shoulders position. Those are the most clear, or have the biggest potential, let me say it this way. This move up could certainly run into rejection as a hook back. We did respect the trend line here, and this could definitely be a hook back for more downside. Is that a dangerous trade? Yes, I do think it's a bit dangerous because we also could break out. But then again, regarding the reward to risk, it does have pretty tight stop loss here and decent space. So maybe not a very likely high success rate or high rate of success, the downside, but well compensated with good R2R. Considering the fact that it's a bit dangerous, I would say one could wait maybe for some 1 hour, at least a 1 hour wick or something like that in here. We actually broke above this blue line on the 1 hour chart, or we're breaking above it as we speak. So a break above here maybe, a break above 1350, we could maybe see some upside to retest these tops, and that's where where I have some doubts that it could break through, at least it will show some respect at that level, and then either break or indeed make a bigger reversal. In any case, the space is a bit tight here, as we can see. And waiting for a break of this line, I would think is better. Yano is asking if I consider fundies when making forecasts or purely technicals. Yeah, it's purely technicals, indeed. And I got another question: how I trade in your side? Not sure what you mean with that. In fact, could you write it differently? So yeah, there is a potential breakout here, and it is with the trend. So, but I just think the space is limited. That's what it boils down to. I think probably waiting for the next blue line. This one is better. Let's see. In the longer term, in the grander scheme of things, either we are making a turn here, right, to go up to, for example, 1430 and 1520, or this is a hook back maybe for more downside to these fibs. Personally, I think I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like this is going on, but let's see. Confirmation would be a break above the blue line in any case, of course. And before we break that, until we break that blue line, I have no proof that this will happen, and we definitely could retrace lower, right? I guess I don't look at silver that often, but anymore. But let's take a quick look. It's maybe showing the same potential, right, of an upside correction and then a continuation of that upside. It's amazing how much silver went down to all the way to 18 from 50 within a few years. That was a tremendous fall, right? And very recently, from September last year, almost dropped half of its value. So relatively dropped a lot more than gold, right? Because gold moved a lot down, I'm not saying, but not half. Not half, although it was close to it. But just a small difference maybe there. In any case, it's to me looking the same structure in fact. In fact, maybe silver is looking a bit, the upside was a bit more bullish in its behavior, this one. But anyhow, it's looking pretty same here. Break above this top and fractals would indicate maybe the potential to move up to 25. Looks like we're about to do that. But we still have this 2280 to bear in mind, right? I would wait for that, because this trend line, you know, if we break the trend line, we were bumping into that resistance very soon, the red line resistance. I guess I have really nothing to add to this one. Funny thing was that ever since this down move here, this down move is something I was planning I was trading this and looking at this a lot at this level here primarily. Then lost a bit of interest. Was looking more at gold after that. But yeah, this was really a lot of upside trading and a lot of breakouts, as you can imagine. But this was even cooler because friend of mine and I were planning this downside right to 26, and then when price got up to 37, we were already looking at it to go back to 20. Funny enough, because of primarily because of this fib right in here as well. 50 fib down to the minus 272, which was 1950. So that was the idea, and it took long, but eventually it went all the way down there. That was funny. Anyhow, that set aside, how's the dollar index doing? Yeah, it got another, of course, a down move here, right? But still finding that monthly support. So yeah, it's right at that monthly support. Oh, what else can we look at? I think we looked at many of them. Maybe did we look at? Yeah, we looked at the euro. For a bigger time perspective, I wouldn't be surprised maybe to get this downside here, like an inverse head and shoulders, then move up, find weakness in here, in fact, and then move down to here. I think I already said that yesterday, in fact. But anyhow, I'll repeat it one more time. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that with the euro odd. But I realize I said that yesterday already. Let's see. I don't think I really have much to add. Maybe we can take a look at, what's the dollar yen? No, still nothing. This is the fourth candle. Let's see if it can break soon. Your dollar just moved up 10 pips. That's about it. Now stalling. Maybe I can answer some questions, because otherwise, other than that, I think I went through all of them, in fact. Anyone have something specific in mind? Anyone who wants a Camarilla indicator, by the way, or that the moving average indicator can get that, just write me an email, right? And I'll send that to you, no problem. For those of you who didn't do that already. Oh. Yeah, for those of you who sent the email yesterday, I didn't have time yet, but we'll definitely, I think the chances high I'll have time today. Otherwise, for sure by tomorrow or Friday, for sure. But so the email address, I hope is visible now, or it should be there. So let me know if, does anyone see it? Yeah? Okay, cool. Good, good. So the euro dollar is getting some continuation of that bounce off the bottom. And I like, for those of you who are wondering, I do like one of the reasons why I thought it would do that, or could do that, is just because if you look at the time factor, it just already was hanging here for so many hours, then this impulse looks finished to me. That's why. And yeah, because the euro dollar is moving up, the euro, of course, the euro yen should be getting some traction indeed, which is good for me at least. And we're approaching the top. Yeah, I think we are. I think indeed, WAFO is asking if we're looking at a short-term downtrend in the euro. Yeah, I think we do have that. Yeah. And obviously, for me to change that, we would need at least to change that idea. We would need at least a lower high here. Probably move up, get some rejection, and then see a lower high. You know, maybe then we can see some turning happening here. Obviously, a break above the top would confirm that as well. But until then, we're in a limbo kind of grayish area where we can see that correction move lower and then maybe see the bigger bounce from here, for example. Yeah, indeed, there could be a small head and shoulders maybe here. Maybe something like that, indeed. True. So I do think that we could move into that zone. But from where, how long, that's the thing with those corrections. They can take very long to materialize, and it could be a lot of choppiness in general. From a bigger perspective, though, the reason why I think that upside is likely, wait, let me get rid of this fib 1 second. Let's see. Yeah, the reason why is because basically now that we've broken this top, there is a pretty decent chance of doing this, right? That's definitely now pretty strong chance. I know that I already was, personally, I had a very strong, yeah, conviction maybe that, or idea that this downside was just a retracement because this seemed to be, I already was expecting that. I got a bit, let me say it this way, a bit changed my view or the analysis when we got rejected here, and it looked like maybe this was going to happen as well. But ever since we broke, really, we bounced off here again and started to break this top, that was becoming more likely. And it looks like we are playing it out now. The only thing is, of course, we have to realize, as I said yesterday too, is that we are right at the 618 fib, which could cause that stall, and it is. It's retracing that last week's candle. So we have to see if this weekly candle will provide the support, or if we maybe even make a deeper retracement to maybe here and then bounce. But that is why I think there's a strong likelihood of upside to 143. Well, let's see. In any case, a break above this top is clear, and we have a weekly candle there. So what do I think about the pound dollar in lower time frames? Does this consolidation, is it waiting for news? Yeah, we had Euro news, by the way. What was that? Maybe it was positive. Maybe that's why we saw part of that spike. That's definitely possible. No, it was just as expected. So there was Euro-Spanish GDP neutral, I would say. And we have German unemployment in 4 minutes. 4 minutes? Yeah. Pound dollar on lower time frames. Let's take a look. Yeah, consolidation indeed, right here. A break above maybe this level or this level could indicate the bullishness. and a break below this bottom could see some space to the 786, right, that we were talking about. But let me take a look at the 4-hour chart. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we have to see. We did bounce off here, so this could be something like that. So if we put a fib on this first up move, the target of that up move could be 160.70, which could in itself become a resistance for more downside. And we'll do something like this, and then down. So that's something we have to be aware of. So I would say I would only really get bullish if we break probably above this tops eventually. If we move up like this, then make another move down and then find again support and then break like that, but then obviously somewhere in here we can go for long, or maybe even here, but that's still early, I think. I think this resistance would need to be broken for that bullish confirmation. Let's take a look at a screenshot from Richard. That's very cool. I guess it's about the euro dollar, but we'll find out. Yes, it is. Euro dollar 30 minutes. And Richard shorted it. Cool. I don't know where the stop loss is though. Is that the green line, Richard? This line here? And this is your entry, and this is the take profit? Do I see it correctly? Okay. Well, the entry is here in any case, right? I'm pretty sure about that, and we're not sure exactly. Maybe no, not sure, but maybe Richard will add the levels through chat. Well, let's see. In any case, thank you, Richard, for the screenshot. You can see here that Richard has also the head and shoulders, right, indicating the lower high in here, and after that, we got that weakness to the downside. And once we broke this level or this level, depending, I saw it as, for me, this level was key personally. But yeah, it depends how you look at it. So when we broke that bottom, any hook back to me was going to find rejection or resistance. But this level, I mean, also makes sense. It's like a neckline as well. No, this is we're looking at the wrong one. This is the euro. Yeah. Let's see. I wouldn't be surprised though, because of the environment though, Richard, that we see a bit, a bit more spiky up and down, because you can see that this formation, it's already quite like that, So in a way, it could move up to here, maybe even here, and then find rejection. It's lots of spikes up and down are possible, I would say, within in this zone. It's more of a range environment. Look, I mean, yeah. This is a pretty strong bullish 1-hour candle as well. So let's see. Because of that, I wouldn't be surprised to see some upside maybe before getting rejection, personally. So I would maybe wait a bit with that, but that wouldn't be good for the dollar yen as well. Let me take a look. No, the dollar yen. Oh, the dollar yen is just flat. So basically, the dollar is losing against the euro at the moment, but it's not losing against the yen. So how's our euro-yen doing then? It's right at the top. So here, the same thing I would be looking for as the dollar yen. I would be looking for a 50-minute fractal that's just above, right at the top or just above it, a 50-minute fractal, and then the next break is a potential trade. But the difference with the dollar yen is that I think the space is maybe a bit limited. More limited on the euro yen than the dollar yen, it seems to me, but maybe that's, yeah, that maybe the euro yen will break through those resistances and targets after just a small pause. So don't necessarily want to exclude this just because of that. Just be careful. Just maybe beware of that. You mean this becoming a double top? It's always possible. Yeah, but for that to really have materialize, price would need to stop right here, pause, not break the high at least for 5-6 candles, and then we could say that's potential double top. Because at the moment, every candle is making higher highs and higher lows, and this, you know, we can't necessarily say that that this is going to stop right here. I think personally that probably on average it's better to be a bit more conservative with calling double top than too aggressive. Let me say it this way. Because obviously when price is approaching this level, you know, there's so many times that price approaches the top but eventually breaks through. Doesn't have to necessarily be double top or double bottom. So that's why I use that time factor to indicate if it can't break within a certain time frame, then yes. Alrighty. Regarding the head and shoulders, I got a question how we can project the downside, by the way, the target of the head and shoulders formation on the euro, for example. Personally, I always use still fibs for that. But indeed, there is a way, let's see, to calculate the difference between the head and the shoulders. But I don't use it that often. And then add it to the neckline. So I think it would be something like that, and then add it to the neckline. That would be the target. So in that case, I think we've already reached, because it's a small head and shoulders, I think we already reached that target, in fact, 26, 57, 57 from down here is, yeah, almost. Something like that. But personally, I don't use that much. I just use the Fibonacci targets on my Fibonacci retracement tool. I never really deviate from that. Yeah, that should be the same for both formations, indeed, double tops and double bottoms. Oh, you mean the target? Well, sorry, that was head and shoulders, in fact. I don't know, but yeah, I think so. I'm not sure, in fact. Let me check. As I said, I don't really use those chart pattern targets. So I wouldn't be the best one to answer that. trying to see if there's anything that can find on that. Not much so far, but I think that would make sense, indeed. Wow, that euro dollars. What happened with was German news, right? Let's take a look what happened with that. So the unemployment change was positive. Unemployment rate stayed the same, 6.9. And that definitely had some positive effect, I believe. The last 5 minutes did see the euro move up from 55 to 68, some 13 pips. Let's see how far this upside can go. I don't think, as we've been saying, don't think that this would be necessarily the bouncing spot for upside, but if it is, then I will join it either from here, or if we move up and we make a bull flag like that, then maybe try to catch it a bit lower. Right in here, I think this is still a retracement, but let's see if that's true. But that's why I'm personally in a wait and hold mode, as you can see, because either looking for a move down below here for maybe a small trade, though that's risky because it's counter trend on a 4-hour chart, although with the trend maybe on the 1 hour, or like this. So the euro yen is pushing above the top, but we didn't break the top yet, right? I mean, we broke it, but I mean, let me say it this way, we only broke it by 4 pips, which is definitely a break, I'm not saying. But if we were to stall right in here, it could still become double top, but we are pushing indeed. What I would like to see is a fractal here and then take the next break. As I've been saying, odd yen didn't go anywhere so far. Pound yen is really a bit wacky so far since the last week or so. Look at that, just sideways move. Let's maybe take a look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture, we have divergence between these tops, but we are still above this top, for example. We've been staying above that for quite a while. If we connect these tops, yeah, when we break this blue line, you can see, of course, the continuation set in. That would be very interesting. Other than that, we can even connect the bottoms and looking a bit maybe like a triangle. That would be the best, probably. Yesterday was a bit of a pin bar here. So let's see, maybe we can see a bounce just like with the dollar yen to the upside and continue. Let's see. It's too early to tell, but quite choppy price action above a broken top. That could be a sign of continuation if we do break. Let's take a look at our program for tomorrow. We have the supply and demand trading. If you're interested in that, just go to education and click on webinars, and then go to sign up for the webinar right in here. That's this was right here. Price action, supply and demand. And we also have the Ichimoku where we're going to talk about in the evening. All right, so you can sign up like that. This would be a typical breakout trade on the 4-hour chart, right? The Aussie got a pretty nice close, in fact, here. That's looking like a pretty bullish turn. I'm not sure if did anyone take this trade here? But that is getting some traction, interesting. But I don't see really any trend lines other than this Euro trend line at the moment that makes sense. We have a very steep trend line here on the pound dollar. I don't like those steep trend lines to trade those because those are just too difficult to catch a break. We had this trend line, right? Waiting for continuation now. Other than that, there are not that many trend lines, in fact. Maybe this one. No. So yeah, I mean, for me, the primary interest is either euro dollar upside eventually, if it does retrace lower, or this immediate is the dollar yen or EJ, in fact. Maybe the odd dollar hook back, if it were to make maybe a hook back like this and show some weakness here, that could make sense. Or that's about it, I guess. Odd or Kiwi bounce to the upside. Euro yen and dollar yen continuation, euro dollar long-term upside, right? But not now. When we get maybe the bigger retrace. And what else? Maybe the odd yen could also be interesting if it does bounce like this, because we know that odd could do the same, and yen is moving up, so the odd yen to the upside could also make sense. So the odd yen, euro dollar eventually, odd dollar. Yeah, those are my primary focus, I guess. There's a trend line on the euro yen. Let's take a look. Yeah, there was one, right? That was the one, in fact, that this bounce, basically this break, hook back, pull back, and continue. But right in here, right now, I don't have any trend line, personally. Maybe there was one like this morning, like that. Yes, that could make sense as well. Not sure when it happened, in fact. I didn't think about it. That was anyhow 3 hours ago, before our session. Oh, pink? Oh, no, pink, this magenta is, yeah, it's a fib. I can change it though. Oh, 4-hour chart, sorry. Pink, oh, you mean this, maybe? That trend line. Well, that's a trend channel, right? So that could be the target for our upside trade. You can see that's why there's a bit of resistance here, as I said, because of those lines. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a bit of a stall, and we could then continue, but definitely the top of the trend channel, the black trend line, and the top and the target, those do weigh in for having that as a target around 135.50. But, you know, we could also move our stop to break even at that point and see if we get a continuation through that. If we stall a bit and just go sideways, we can see a continuation, right? Like this, for example. It's possible. But another way is just taking another method is just to take profit here and then see what happens. And the money is in the pocket, right? Maybe could be useful at the end of the month to inch up or boost the account. Well, I guess that will be it from my side, in fact. I went through the currencies a bit maybe faster than usual, but I don't have anything to add except really watch out for the pound dollar at 160.70. That could really be still a resistance level, I would say, personally. So keep that in mind. Other than that, your dollar is moving up. It could be resistance as well. Odd dollar, I would say, could have the potential to move down, but then up again. Just to summarize, dollar yen, as I said, yeah, it hasn't happened in our session, unfortunately, but that is the idea, to take the breakout, right? Yeah, that's it. And the odd yen too. If we fib the odd USD, like that, this could retrace deep. I mean, it could go to the 786, 90, 40, 70, and maybe get an inverse head and shoulders. It's possible. Something that we can keep an eye on. Oh, you mean the downside? Yes. Those will, of course, definitely have a potential resistance level as well. And the 382 is very close. That could be the, maybe we're already, yeah, it's just a 5-pip gap here. One more push up to hit that 32 and we could see resistance there, indeed. True. Very true. And then when we move down, we would potentially retrace to the next fib, which is the 50, right? So definitely possible. Because we did reach the minus 618 target. If you fib this from here to here, we bounce off that target. So we have to definitely be aware of this fib. Definitely. All right, folks. Well, I hope you have great trading today. Be careful though with all that the news announcements and stuff like that, and be careful tomorrow too, because it is the month-end closure. But anyhow, I'll hopefully see you tomorrow in the morning and in the evening as well. Cheers.
The organ